Hello and a very warm welcome here from the auditorium at X-Dream Events. This session is all about content rights management and content playout scheduling, as well as video on demand campaign management. Together with me here in our session is Peter from our partner Bright Media. Peter, a very warm welcome to you.
Thank you, Stefan, for having me once again. I would have rather met you personally, but then due to this COVID, we need to have a conversation online.
Yeah, unbelievable. It feels like we cannot imagine that to meet in person at all anymore, but I hope these times will go by and we can meet soon in person.
Yes, definitely. Hopefully.
Peter, for many of our today's viewer, BOSS, that is your product suite from your company Bright Media, is probably still quite new. Let's introduce them a little bit to it. And let's start with looking on the business process. What is the business process that BOSS is trying to cover?
So basically, BOSS is an end-to-end solution. When I talk about BOSS is an end-to-end solution which includes all the modules that one would require for traffic and scheduling. Like say you require acquisition, you require media management, you require sales, you require planning, scheduling, secondary events, billing, reconciliation. This is all under one platform. So you do not have to have additional add-ons. It all works under one.
So would you say it's the tool you go for, let's say kind of the Swiss knife that you need to run your media?
Absolutely, absolutely. You nailed it there. It is something like a Swiss knife, okay, which can be used. It's a multi-purpose, rather.
Now, let's look a little bit more onto the individual modules. Probably you can explain that a little bit in detail.
Definitely.
You spoke about the segments. Let's talk about the modules that are available per segment.
Certainly. So here you see this is a dashboard. In a dashboard, we have your acquisitions, we have your planning. Your planning includes both your planning, your prime time planning and a non-linear planning. You have your sales, which includes agency, clients, campaigns. You have your media management, which includes all your metadata, like your program, movies, series, commercials, interstitials, etc. You have your scheduling, wherein your scheduling can be done. You have your secondary events. Your secondary events could include we have include your promos, your lookups and prototypes, which have multiple. We can have multiple secondary events. We can have multiple layers. We have supervisor, wherein all your backend process can be done, and we have reports. Reports can be customized to each client's requirement.
I think the first step in the all-over business process might be the content acquisition. Could you please explain a little bit in detail what does that mean and how is BOSS supporting the content acquisition?
So here you see a module wherein you have where we create a content. So we do not work on Excel over here. Everything over here is managed by BOSS. So we can call it acquisition or contracts. So the first step is when the contract is acquired. Okay, for how long is it acquired? What is the amount for the contract for the content that has been acquired? Then if this content is available online, so we can grab all the we can actually grab all the information available online rather than enter it manually. We have if the content is it's limited, like okay, I cannot play it a certain duration. We have blackout dates. We have exclusive dates which can be managed by the system. We also have a history tab over here, so the client can actually find out how many times this content has played in the past, when was it played, what date was it played, how many times was it repeated. All that information can be managed in the content database.
Yeah, as you are just speaking about the content database, why is BOSS storing a content database, and what data is stored in the content database? Is it the same or different to a media asset management system?
So ideally, all your data is stored in your MAM, your media asset management. Okay, so what boss does, boss identifies each content with a media ID or a material ID. So what happens at the back end is boss integrates with your MAM and with your playout and gives each content a unique ID. So when so what boss does when it plays out, it will reflect that ID with that content that is available in a MAM. Boss does not store anything in their system. All it stores is the unique ID related to that content, and it's a handshake which is done at the back end from the back end, and that can be managed there.
So would you say the all of a business process starts in BOSS, or is it that it starts in the media asset management?
So all your content data, Stefan, all your content rather is stored. Where is it stored? It's stored in media asset management, right? For what BOSS does, it pulls out, it triggers it. So what a technical team does at the back end, it does a handshake. So a handshake is done between BOSS and MAM, and a handshake is done between BOSS and your playout. So any information that is required, okay, will be triggered by this media ID.
I see. So what I remember is BOSS does not only store the video content, but also stores the audio content. Why is that?
So BOSS, as I said, Stefan, BOSS does not store anything in BOSS. BOSS is just a place where all your metadata is captured. All the original video and audio is stored in MAM. We only link it through BOSS. So which, for example, now you want to play a movie live. Okay, this live will tell you in BOSS, it will tell you where exactly it is stored. Which, if it's a digital file, is it a tape, is it a satellite? It will tell you the information, where exactly it is stored. It will tell you the information. Also, it will tell you what is the ID for it. So once that is figured, that will all be done by BOSS at the back end. And what BOSS does then, it just gives it an ID and pushes it out. All you have to do is schedule it.
I see.
Plan and schedule.
And obviously the consequence is that then a report is generated for the content owners about the usage, so that...
Absolutely. Yeah. That is so a history report can be generated for each and everything. So the content owner, for example, if it's a content, as I said, a history can be managed, wherein you can find out which movie, program, or series, how many times it was played in the past. That can be generated. You can also generate a report as to which commercial was played how long.
Now, as you just mentioned it, the commercials, so far we spoke about the content acquisition and the management of the content. Now let's talk a little about making the money. Obviously, that is mainly related to selling commercial breaks. So how is that supported in BOSS? I think it's a very important part of BOSS, isn't it?
So this slide, in fact, explains it all. So this slide, rather than most management would prefer an Excel sheet of what's happening in their business area. But this slide, BOSS gives access to all the management in the company. Okay, so they can actually access it and they can find out how many clients they have. Okay, how many agencies they have. They can find out how many clients they have, and also they find out how many clients are active out of those. How many agencies are there, and how many agencies are active. How many campaigns are there in all, and how many campaigns are actually active for the time being. What is the revenue that is earned? So the management can actually select a date and find out for the future. Okay, fine, for the month of, so we are in December, say from 1st January, 30th January. If I select the dates, they can actually see what is the revenue that is generated by my sales team. And they can actually tell the sales team, okay, fine, this day is running low, or this time slot is running slow. What are we doing about it? So all that can be managed in BOSS, and particularly in this slide.
So BOSS, I think, especially also supports the agencies with special tools. So what is the purpose and how does that work?
So BOSS, so in sales, what we do, as I said earlier, In a dashboard, we have a module called sales. Under sales, we have agency, clients, campaign. Everything is managed in that. So what the sales can do is they can actually find out what commercials are. So we have a mobile application as well, which will actually tell the sales team or the sales agencies, okay, these spots are available for this particular slot. Again, they can go ahead and book it. And this is on real time, they can get it. If the client wishes to give the application to the sales agency, well, they can do that. But it is only, they can view it, they cannot make any changes on that.
Mm. So that means it is up to the agency to do the actual booking. The client himself is more like monitoring what is being done for him.
Look, the client can actually do the bookings. The agency can send the bookings to the client, and the client can import these bookings into BOSS. So the agency will tell them, okay, fine, on this time I want this particular commercial, on this time I want this particular commercial. It should not play when this commercial is playing. So it sets the rules and it sends it to BOSS, the client where BOSS is installed. And then BOSS will, as per the triggered timelines, it will auto-populate on those segments.
I see. You mentioned just earlier, let's say short-term bookings. So would you support with BOSS also like auctions on last-minute commercial bookings?
Yes, certainly. See, last-minute commercial bookings are, it's something that you get all over the world. It's not something that it only happens there, but down here also it happens that last-minute bookings come in. So, certain spots commercials are dropped, certain commercials are added on. So yes, we support that as well.
So I think it's, as you mentioned earlier already, keeping the overview is something very important for especially the sales team. What tools is BOSS offering for this kind of dashboarding?
So over here we have, so if you can see the slide, we have something called the booking summary. So booking summary on the left-hand side, we have the timelines. It starts right from 12 to 24. And on the right-hand side, we have all the slots for each day along with the dates on top. So if this team wants to see what's happening, of course, when the client has orange spots like this colored, that means the agency, they are completely overbooked. In fact, they have slots more than required. They'll have to drop the slots. And if they see on the right on the top, they've got gray slots. That means those areas are completely blank. There are no bookings over there. So the management can push the sales team saying, okay, fine, these slots are completely empty. Why not we push the sales team to get bookings for these slots? It helps quite a lot, actually, to understand what my sales team is doing and where we stand on any given day. So, for example, I want to know 3 months down the line, I can find out and I can actually push for them.
How do campaigns, advertisement campaigns, relate to the linear playout and as well as to the video on demand? Campaign management, I think it's an important topic in BOSS as well.
No, absolutely. BOSS supports both linear and non-linear channels. Okay. So we have your campaigns as well as the commercials. So in campaign, you have your start date, your end date, whether it's paid or whether it's free. Where is it going to be played? Is it going to be played for the local audience? Is it going to be paid for the international audience? What is the budget? What are the spots that are required? How many spots will it be airing? And how many seconds will be airing it? So all this can be managed in BOSS. And then for each campaign, a commercial can be added. So if you look at the slot at the slide down, we can add commercials. So each campaign can have multiple commercials as well. So this is supported by BOSS.
So we spoke about acquiring the content, managing the content, and the ad sales. Lastly, about the campaign management. Now let's look a little bit forward to the process to create the actual rundown for the linear playout or the actual campaign on the video on demand. How is BOSS supporting creating the no gap rundown schedule?
Okay, so this is our planning dashboard that you see on the screen. So in the planning dashboard, we support single channel as well as multiple channels. So we can have a day view, month view, whatever is there, that can be selected by the client. Okay, so here the planning is created. The client tells you which day and what time he wants a particular slot. So here we can either do it for a single day. Normally with series, you can have with seasons, you have multiple episodes on a given day. For example, you've got Monday to Friday at 12 a.m. I want to play this particular program and a repeat at 6 p.m. So rather than dragging and dropping it, I can auto-populate it. We have a process for it, a pattern which can be created, and in a single log go, I can create a pattern for the entire month or the entire year. I can fill up my bookings for the entire year. For 6 p.m., I know that this program is going to be played 6 p.m. every day. I can do it for a month as well. So that can be created. The system also tells me if this particular content has expired. For example, of course, you may be aware, Stefan, that there are legal consequences if a client channel is a content which has expired or for which it does not have a license. So the systems will tell you this license is expired, or this particular content does not have any runs left to play it. So all this the system will guide you. It will always give you an alert saying this is there or this is not available. You cannot air it. If you want permission, then you have to take permission and then you can air it.
Understood. And yeah, looks like very feature complete. Peter, what are the features and the new tools that you have been working on recently? So what is new in BOSS?
New in BOSS, right now I was talking about about planning. So now what the channel can do actually is if I know for a given day, I want these programs set, I want this to be played at 4 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 12 o'clock, I've got the full day's sheet ready. For example, I've got Sunday sheet ready. I know that I have to play this. What my team, what BOSS can do is rather that team then applying each and every day one by one, I can straight away import the planning into BOSS. We have a template for that. I can import it, and all the planning will stand on the day it has been selected, one after the other, as per the time range it is set for. That is done within 2 minutes. Not even 2 minutes, I would say. 2 minutes is too much. I would say in a couple of seconds, rather.
You mentioned an app that you offer as well. This type of interaction with the system, is that also something new, or is it standard for you?
Are we talking about the mobile application?
Yeah.
Yes, the mobile application is an addition to the feature that we are offering. So that has already been there. So, and we are doing additional developments in that. So some clients are requesting some additional features in that. So we are doing development in that. So development is a continuous process. There's always change. So nothing is static, and it keeps improving rather.
Mm. So who are the typical customers for BOSS? Is it broadcasters? Others?
It is mostly it is channels, okay, TV channels rather, and most of the TV channels now have their own OTT platforms as well. So we support both TV channels and the OTT channels. So any content that channel purchases, they can decide that I want to play it in both, and we can give rights to both linear and non-linear. So maybe in the non-linear, there is a certain limitation that I can only showcase it. I purchase it only for a month. Mm-hmm. So on the non-linear, I can give them rights only for a month, and I can do that. So it can be we support both linear and non-linear channels, Stefan.
Do you have customers that are not running any linear program, but only OTT, also video on demand, for instance?
In fact, we have a customer. Not only they've started the OTT platform recently now. They were running linear earlier, but now they've started the OTT platform, and we are working towards it going live. So, but we do not, as of now, we do not have purely an OTT platform. Who only does OTT platform.
The typical use case, I think, is what you have described the last minutes. What I've understood, OTT probably is something new. Can you imagine other use cases for BOSS that are a little bit outside the classical linear programming?
In fact, Stefan, since we are developers, okay, we can develop as per the client's demand. So we are not restricted to broadcast. If there is a development requirement, we can have it developed. The clients needs to give us what is the requirement, okay, and we will give them the timeline and the costing of it as well. So development, we are not restricted to broadcast. We also have a sister concern, Automate B, which is quite helpful.
So as you just spoke about the possibilities of development, if you look a little bit into the future, what is your vision? What are the things that you're currently working on for BOSS?
For BOSS, right now, what we are currently looking at is right now for the next 6 months, we are actually looking at the customization requirements that our current clients and the new clients have given us. That is actually taking time, so we have not focused on new developments, as it is new development that we are currently doing, but we are focusing on the current requirements that clients have given us. So maybe after 6 months, we will focus on the new developments and the time, because that would require both time and manpower.
Very true. Peter, have many thanks for your introduction into the BOSS product portfolio, the product line, and for all the details that you told us about the business and the news that you have shared with us. Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon here at X-Dream Events.
Thank you, Stefan, once again for having me, and look forward to seeing you once again very soon.
Yeah, so thank you to all of you that have been with us today here in this session. If you like, you can meet Peter and me right now in our coffee bar on the X-Dream Events platform. Please make your way to that place. Otherwise, please stay tuned. We will have the next session in just some minutes here in the auditorium. And in a week from now, you can also experience the BOSS platform again, because then we will have an online demo showing all the details about the product. Stay tuned.